the eternal associates who take birth after. And just like for the last 500 years, so many of our greatest artists have appeared in this world.
不断地显现在这个世界上，也继续的也去推动了这个接受生命运动。就这他们不的在接受生命运动，我们说的先前的阿伽们在卢格古鲁巴嘎的这个传承中，他们实际上也是呢，至尊主的永恒同游。他们来到这个世界上，只是为了呢去传播切天的马布布的使命。因此呢，是拿了他们的特库。
He was such a personality,
这样的一个人物。
and he was born in Bengal,
他出生在孟加拉地区，
in a very,
在
very
印度
wealthy family.
非常有富裕的家庭，可以说是极为富裕富甲一方的。他像个王子一样被养育，但是呢，从他年轻的时候开始，他就对世俗生活完全不感兴趣，还有现在物质的成就这所谓的财富，还有呢物质享受，美丽的女子，还有呢家庭生活、孩子等等，他的心完全沉醉在呢水格朗嘎马布布的 Brahma 之中。因此呢，在他年轻的时候，他实际上来到了温达曼，步行来到这个地方。在去了纳布蒂巴之后，拉拜之后呢，他从那里步行到温达曼。 而且呢，他来上面的指导下，尤其是圣基维戈舍米帕，当时他还生活在本达文，但是戈舍米中最年轻的，然而他们的斯库呢，并没有呢，直接去，他还没接受地下戈舍地下起地。 所以基维戈舍米知道他，去呢寻找伟大的人物，这些呢资深永恒的同游，马布布同游，就是呢罗克纳达斯戈舍米。当时他是更资深的奉献者，他呢在布拉加这个地区呢，在另外一个地方从事呢从事呢。 从事巴扎完全弃绝，专注于拉达克西小时光。所以拿尔他们的萨布去到那个区域，巴扎们的，我们朝拜也会去到那里去的。克迪尔班，我们朝拜后面会去到这个地方。但是拿尔他们的斯特库。 来到这个草屋，罗格纳的那个上面的草屋，他可以说拜倒在他足下。那么那时候，他第一次当上他的咕噜，这个伟大的马哈巴嘎瓦。从那里，他请求，他说：“请给我你的恩赐，我希望能够来到你的汉九的庇护下。” 我想成为你的门徒，请接受我。但是罗格纳达斯库上面。 他发誓，他不接受任何门徒。所以呢，他专注于马巴布。 超然消时光的波浪，24小时冥想拉达布下，永恒的消时光，并且在他心中完全看到这些。他可以说是呢清洁的神，就像古格拉巴布教导说白是那吧。如果你想持续与他唱诵，是什么？就是一个人呢，应该完全的变得谦卑。 把自己视为了一片小草，还要谦卑。那么格朗格巴布呢，给出这个教导。 他所有的朋友现在都是这个世界的体现，他们非常谦卑，他们完全没有去接受任何崇拜。所以呢，罗格纳达斯库舍米，他这样回应拿尔他们的这个年轻的求道者，我说，他说我不能接受你这个。拿尔他从那里拜了，但是呢，心中决定罗格纳达斯库舍米不想要得到任何人服务， 直接的服务。但是Narottama Thakur呢，他决定，我想呢，去服务的古代，直到呢我的古代接受我，然后我在首先我远远的服务他，不让他知道。所以这时候Narottama Thakur想，我怎么能够为他做一点点服务呢？所以他决定，Lokanath Goswami早上的时候，去排泄了，也就是说呢，早上在森林中一个地方，他完事之后呢，我会把这个地方清洁，让这个地方很干净，把新鲜的干净的水用放在这里给他用。因此呢，很多天，很多个星期，Narottama Thakur呢都在做这个服务，每天如此。Lokanath Goswami回去呢，草屋的时候，这时候呢，Narottama Thakur会出来，从草棚里面、草丛里面出来清洁这个地方。Lokanath Goswami不能明白。因为他内在非常专注，所以他不知道呢外在发生了什么事情。他内在的基本上没有什么自觉外在东西，但是呢有一天，当他在外在自觉的时候，他意识到了有人在这里每年清洁这个地方。我不想任何人来服务我，所以Lokanath Goswami。他完成他的这个完成早上的排泄，上厕所。他呢躲起来看到了这个年轻的小伙子是你。不让我知道，我不喜欢这样子。Narottama Thakur呢，当时呢，拜倒在呢Lokanath Goswami的脚下，他祈求，请哈哈Prabhu Doya Deha Mola Padachaya。亲爱的道士我在这世界上除了你之外，我没有别人。放弃一切去投奔你的莲花主，所以呢，请给我庇护，请给你莲花主的庇护。我是你微不足道的仆人。
Lokanath Goswami, who is the personification of Vaishnavata, just like we say, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. These great personalities, they are wish-fulfilling desire trees. And they are oceans of mercy and very kind to all the fallen souls. So Lokanath Goswami, his heart melted, and now he accepted Narottama Thakur as his only disciple. So Sri Narottama Thakur was so devoted to Sri Lokanath Goswami, and his relationship was not one of this external world only, because both these personalities, eternal associates of Radha and Krishna, so Narottama Thakur understood the eternal identity of his Guru Maharaj, Lokanath Goswami Pad, as the eternal maidservant of Radha and Krishna. And Narottama Thakur, he went back and studied all the Goswami literatures under the guidance of Sri Jiva Goswami Pad. And there were two other great personalities who also became his like god brothers, studying under the Siksha Guru, Sri Jiva Goswami. That was Sri Shyamananda Pandit and Sri Vasacharya. So these three personalities, they're called Prabhu Trai. That means three Prabhus, the three great masters. So these three personalities, under the guidance of Sri Jiva Goswami, they studied all the Goswami literatures. And then Sri Jiva Goswami told that now you should take all this transcendental
是超
rasa
然的
shastras
rasa
that
的
has
经典，
been written by the
这
Goswamis.
个上面是
And
书
you
写这
should
些经典。
go to the eastern part
你们把
of
它带回
India,
到
to
东印度，
Bengal, to
孟加拉
Orissa,
地区、
and
奥
you
利萨、
should
欧利
preach
萨地
this
区，
message of
然后呢
Chaitanya
去传播切天马
Mahaprabhu.
普的
So
使命。
under the order of Jiva
所以呢，在基督
Goswami,
哥
they
上面的指示
traveled
下，
across
他们呢
India with
横跨
bullock
印度，
cart, carrying
坐的
these
牛车，
granthas,
把这些经典呢
and
全
a
部带回
small
去，
party with Harinam
以及圣
Sankirtan.
圣明的
And
队
this
伍呢
was the
一起前
first
往
wave.
东印度。
After Chaitanya
这就是呢
Mahaprabhu,
Mahaprabhu 引
this
起之
was
后
the first
一个
wave
高潮，
of preachers
传教的
who
高潮
began to，
第一个
preach the
高峰
message of Gauranga
就是呢去传播
Mahaprabhu
高朗马
after
普的
he
信息。
himself and his associates
在呢 Mahaprabhu
came and left this
还有呢
world.
他的同游
So
前
Narottam
行和引进之后，
Thakur
这是第一个高峰
and
传教高峰。
two god brothers,
所以呢
they
Narottam
began
Thakur
their
呢和另外
journey,
两
and
位
when
师
they
兄弟
came to one area
他
called
们
Vishnupur,
开始启动启程了，他们去到一个村庄比斯纳普，
yeah. So that in that place there was one king,
有一个国王当
and
时在
that
这个地区，
king, he was
这个国王
very crafty. He engaged so many bandits
他很野蛮，
and so many
一
thieves,
些贼呀，
and he had
强
a
盗
whole court
组织了他们，
of personal associates, and they had astrologers
而且他
who
们还
would
专门有
tell
个星
him,
象家，
oh,
双面
there
先生
are people passing
说
through your kingdom.
走过你的国
They are
王国的这些地
travelers.
方的人，
They're carrying so
他们
much
实际上呢
wealth.
带着很
The
多财富，
astrologers could actually
这些呢
determine
实际
this.
上
Oh,
那些
such
星
and
象
such
家可以算出
persons
来
are
某某
carrying
人物
very valuable
带
wealth.
着一些财
And
富，
then the king would send
所以呢
his
这
men
国王
there, and
会
in the
把人送过
nighttime,
去，晚上
all
呢
the thieves would come
这
and
些贼
plunder and steal
强
their
调把
wealth.
东西抢了偷了。
So when these three
所以呢
personalities were
当这三
coming
个伟大
on
人
the
物
bullock cart
当时坐的牛车
with
过
all
了这个
these
地方，
granthas,
带着这些情书啊，
then the astrologer
这
said,
些
oh,
双面先生
there
说
are
了，
three men who
哦，
are
三个人
traveling here in this
来到这个
area,
地方来到你们
and
这，
they have a
他们呢
very, very inestimable, valuable
有无
treasures
量
with
的
them.
财宝在他们
So
牛车
that
上。
night, they, while the three prabhus were
两三位
sleeping,
婆婆在
the
休息的时
thieves
候，
came
这
and
贼
they
抢
stole
进来，
the bullock
把
cart
牛车
that
整个
had
偷掉，
all these granthas,
里面都有
and
各
they
种
brought
各类
back
净
to
土
the king
然后带回
in
到
the
国王
morning
那里。
when
早上的时候呢
Srinivasacharya, Shyamananda
Shyamananda
Prabhu,
Prabhu
Narottam Das Thakur
Narottam
woke,
Das Thakur呢
and they
醒
found
过来的时候
that
呢，发现
the bullock cart with
哦，
all
这
the
牛车
shastras
跟
of
经书
the
全部不见了，
Goswamis were gone.
哦，全
Oh,
部
they
不见了，
began
他
weeping
们
and
非常
lamenting and crying.
痛苦
They
了，
were
在那
so
里哭啊，
worried.
非常担
But
心。
Srinivasacharya, who was the senior amongst them, he said, I will stay here and I will locate where these have been taken. The two of you, you go on, and you go on to the eastern part of India. So Srinivasacharya,
是西瓦萨恰呢，
gradually, he found his way to the king's
他
palace.
找到了啊，
And
国王
there
的
in the
宫殿，
king's palace,
在国王宫殿里面，
he heard the king had so many different associates who were like pundits.
国王有不
And they
同
were
的
explaining
判定，
different parts of Srimad
他们
Bhagavatam,
解释不
but
同
their
的事情
explanation，was not so
但是他们
good.
的解
And
释没有
then
这么好了。
when they were having some difficulty on some difficult points, then in the assembly, Srinivasacharya stood up and he began speaking the most sublime, transcendental, philosophical points, clarifying everything, and inundating the whole assembly with bliss from his explanations. And the king,
然后呢，
he was
让他
wondering,
聚会
who
的
is
各
this
位
person?
印象非常深刻
He began。
这国王就问了，
speaking
这是谁？
and
所以他跟西瓦萨恰
Srinivasacharya
开
told
始
him,
交
I
谈。
have come
西瓦
from
萨恰呢，
Vrindavan,
他是我
and
从
I
林
have
达曼
brought
来，
these great
我现在
rasa
带上的
shastras.
这些呢
Oh, but
拉萨的经书，
someone has stolen them
但是呢，有
in
人
the
把我们
middle
的
of
这
the
个呢
night.
晚上睡觉的时候
But
把
then
人
the
都偷
king
走了
told。him,
然后告诉他，
I think I know.
我觉得
I have my associates.
实
We
际上是
thought
呢，
that someone was carrying very
我手
valuable
下的人
wealth.
啊，说了
But then
有一
they
个人
took
有
this
三个人
bullock
带着
cart,
非常
and when we opened everything up, we
有价
found
值的东
these
西，
shastras.
我们抢了
But
这个
now I
牛车之后，
understand
发现是经典。
that actually
现在
this
呢，我
was
明
the
白，
greatest
就
wealth,
是
far beyond any
这是
other
呢
wealth.
超
And
越
he
一切的财
requested
宝。所以
Srinivasacharya
西瓦萨恰
remain there for some time and to give so much transcendental knowledge. So this way he retrieved these shastras.
他把呢
In
这
the
经书呢带
meantime,
回来。
Narottam Das Thakur and Shyamananda Prabhu, they went to the eastern part of Bengal, and Narottam Das Thakur went to preach all over Bengal. Shyamananda Prabhu preached all over Orissa, and they made thousands and thousands of disciples. Srila Narottam Das Thakur was such a great acharya, and so many lakhs and lakhs of people received his mercy. there was one very great event that took place. Narottam Das Thakur organized in his village, which was Keturi Gram, and he organized the first real grand-scale celebration of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu's Harinam, his appearance within this world. This Gaur Purnima celebration, just like every year, we celebrate in Sri Navadvip Dham. But up to that time, after the disappearance of Mahaprabhu, the associates were so steeped in separation mood that they could not organize a very grand festival. So now Narottam Das Thakur, he sent messages all throughout Bengal, to Navadvip and everywhere, and he called for all the elderly associates of Gauranga Mahaprabhu who were still living in the world. And he invited them, you please come. I am going to hold this grand Gaur Purnima festival. There are many, many details described. We don't have time to tell how this was organized, how one king, Santosh, he gave so much money, they made so many preparations to receive in a very beautiful, respectable way. All the associates arranged for their lodging, arranged for them to have servants, and in this way, in a very beautiful, sublime atmosphere, they came, and presiding over the entire assembly was the wife of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, his Shakti potency, Sri Janava Thakurani, and she resided over the whole assembly. So on the day of Gaur Purnima, when Sri Narottam Das Thakur was beginning the whole program in the evening time, Narottam Das Thakur stood in the middle of the assembly, and there were thousands and thousands of Vaishnavas. And now he began singing. Narottam Das Thakur was the greatest Kirtaniya. He also developed a particular style of kirtan, which was unique and which was expressing the internal moods of the kirtan. And so when Narottam Das Thakur began singing and pouring out his heart in such beautiful voice and with such praying, all the Vaishnavas became immersed in this flood of praying, and they all began weeping and weeping in separation from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. And the whole audience became immersed in Vipralam Baba and Gaur praying. And now, as the kirtan rose and became more and more intense, suddenly the most amazing thing happened.
一个非常令人惊讶的事情发生了。Gauranga Mahaprabhu呢，他显现在现场，在聚会的中间，与尼天的Acharya Gadadhar Pandit Srivastava
and their associates from Navadvip Dham, and they all began dancing and singing in the middle of the assembly. All the Vaishnavas became so overwhelmed, they were rolling in the dust. And they were singing Gauranga Mahaprabhu's name and crying, weeping in separation. In this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was spreading his Gaur praying to everyone. Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Shri Gaur Premanande. So Narottam Das Thakur, in this way, by his Gaur praying, he holds Mahaprabhu in a spiritual world. 这是什么意思？给他是不能想象，但是这就是Narottam Das Thakur的给他想法。所以这样子呢，我们明白到Narottam Das Thakur呢，实际上是我们伟大的一个Acharya，他是我们传承传。